I just bought this crash-damaged BMW. In this video, I'm going to fix it up, clean it up, and flip it for a profit. And use every bit of profit I make to buy my dream car. So far, I've made 700 euros reselling my first ever car, and in my last video, I tried to buy a 2014 Volvo from a guy I found on Facebook Marketplace. That went well. So then I decided to give online auctions another shot. But this time I used a local auction instead, where I surprisingly won a 2014 BMW X3 that got hit by a truck for what it looked like an absolute steal, because these cars sell for around 12,000 euros. Now, because of how badly damaged it was, the car was basically a no drive. So we had to tow it to a local body shop to get it driving again. We just got the BMW out of the body shop. Right now it's in drivable condition, but we still cannot legally drive it on the road because the front's so messed up. I'll tell you what was done to it so far in a sec, but right now we have the tow truck on its way to pick it up one last time, hopefully, and we're gonna take it to the paint shop where the whole major assembly and transformation will take place. Honestly, I'm so excited. My hands are freezing. Oh, it's so close. Oh, that was smooth. Ho, 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 guys. Christmas came early. Let me tell you what Santa got me after repairing the BMW. So they replaced this. I'm not sure what it is. Now I don't know the exact name of these two, but you don't have to be a technical person to understand that this does not look good. This is how it's supposed to look. And this is just like a goose or something. Next, we have these two parts. And here we have another part. And here we have the big boy. This is a radiator, guys. It was bent right over... Where was it bent? Did they just replace the part that did not need replacing? Wait, what? Where was it been? I think they just scammed me of my money. Because replacing this cost like 200 euros at least. I'm getting scammed left and right because I don't know about cars. Now, besides all the technical issues that the car has, we also have a lot of yellow lights on the TV. Daytime parking sensor malfunction, fog lamp malfunction, turn signal malfunction,
washer fluid level low, passenger restraint system.
Door open! But honestly, most of this isn't even worth worrying about because the whole front of the car is basically missing. On top of that, it's gonna need a new headlight, a hood, the whole front wing, the bottom protection, parking sensors, honestly, a ton of stuff. So once we put everything back together and fix the wiring, a lot of this should just sort itself out. What is a bit worrying though is that a check engine light popped up on the dash quite recently, and I'm really hoping it's just from the recent radiator work, maybe a temperature sensor's unplugged or an air pocket formed somewhere, or at least that's what the mechanic told me when I called him. So yeah, once we're done painting and putting everything together, it'll have to go straight back to the body shop. Fingers crossed we don't have to rebuild the engine or something, because if we do, I might as well crush myself with it. So now it was time to disassemble the entire front of the car and see which parts needed replacing and what could actually be kept. The owner was also kind enough to show me how it's all done and even let me record the whole process. We started by removing the headlight, and that's when I noticed the rusty fixators, which were basically breaking off, so they will definitely need replacing. Then we took off the front bumper reinforcement along with the air intake, which was pretty bashed up, so I'll definitely need to find a new one. And after a few hours of disassembling and removing all of the inner fenders, this is what we ended up with. Surprisingly, quite a few of them didn't need replacing, so I took pictures of the parts that did, wrote down their manufacturer codes, went back home, and started what would turn into one of the most overwhelming and irritating parts of this whole project: finding all the parts. Oh yeah! We just got the big boy truck. I'm taking the brand new hood to the paint shop now. It's all tucked in the back so I don't scratch it or anything. Driving really carefully right now. Now, I had some issues finding a few particular parts, like this metal framing that goes above the radiator, but then I found a guy on Facebook who was selling the whole frame for way cheaper than the used parts website, and I saved like 100 euros on it. But there was a small catch. Alright, we just got one of the packages. It's the upper radiator support panel. Hopefully it fits. I was a little bit skeptic about it because it didn't have any manufacturer's code on it. Either we lose money or it fits perfectly and I don't have to kill myself. You really want to pay close attention when buying used parts. First, make sure it's actually for your exact model. If you're not sure, check that it has the original manufacturer's code. If not, you're basically just throwing money away on something that won't even fit. Now, so you guys understand how hard it is to actually find the right pieces for this BMW, I just drove 20 miles to get this single front quarter panel. And another 15 miles to get my hands on this headlight holder. Yeah. I'll be honest with you guys, getting all the replacement parts for this car was a pain. It took me 2 weeks to track everything down, since I had never done anything like this before. And yeah, I could have just paid someone to handle it all for me, but I actually want to learn this stuff, and even learn to fix my own car someday, instead of always taking it to a body shop where you're not guaranteed quality service. Alright, so just to put a few things into perspective, my total budget for this whole project was 8,000 euros. That's like 3,000 for all the new parts, repairing and painting costs. And we've already hit that limit. And we haven't even started painting or assembling the car yet. So every penny I spend from here on out is basically coming out of my personal savings. Yeah, things aren't looking that great anymore. Right, so I'm now at the paint shop. The reason I'm not filming inside is because, well, they have a lot of work and I don't want to interrupt. So the quarter panel I bought was basically by my color code, and there is a slight chance that it might not fit the color itself, but I really hope it fits because I paid like 100 euros for it and I really don't want to repaint it. So I guess we'll just have to see now. And surprise, surprise! It didn't match. Not by much, but yeah, the whole thing needs to be repainted. Awesome. Anyways, after gathering all of the replacement parts, I brought everything to the paint shop, and that's when all the preparations before painting finally started. After the paint shop artist sanded and degreased all of the parts, it was time to apply the primer coat to make sure the paint would properly stick to the surface. Unfortunately, I wasn't the one applying it. I let the pro handle that because I just wanted to see how it's done first and not mess anything up myself. After all the parts got their sealer coats, I came back the next day and asked if I could try applying the first layer of base coat myself. After watching him for a while, I thought it would be pretty easy. But the moment I picked up the spray gun, all of my confidence suddenly disappeared. But still, I carefully gave it a shot with a little guidance from the side. And honestly, I did a pretty good job. If you're ever spray painting a car, always wear a safety mask and goggles. Like seriously, this stuff is dangerous. Don't be an idiot like me. Anyway, after that, I had to call it a day because I needed to go home and work on one of Whistling Diesel's upcoming videos. So I left the painter to take care of the rest. Now, at this point, it's been about 1 month since the car got to the paint shop. That's mainly because I decided to take it upon myself to gather all the parts. Mostly because I wanted to learn all of this myself. And that alone took me 2 full weeks. So today is Tuesday, January the 6th, and the painter messaged me saying the car should be completely done by Friday. After that, we are taking it back to the body shop to check the engine light. If it turns out it's just a bug and it doesn't need any extra repairing, I'll just have to clean it up and list it for sale. Right, it's been a couple of days now. I'm actually on my way to take care of all the registration and title stuff for the car. And I've got some bad news and some good news. The bad news is that the painter caught the man flu. He just messaged me saying he's basically a dead man walking right now with almost 40-degree fever. Wishing him speedy recovery because that is nasty. The good news though is that the car is basically finished. The only thing that's left to do is connect all the wiring in the front bumper. That's for the parking sensors, headlight washers and fog lights. And since all the wiring was basically ripped out along with the old bumper, I had to buy used wiring so we could extend it and solder everything back together to make it work properly. This was also my first time ever seeing someone repair broken wires on a car, and honestly, it didn't look nearly as hard as I expected. Once that was done, it was time to check whether the new headlight I bought would actually work with the old power modules from the original one. The headlight that was shattered into a million pieces. It was either going to work perfectly or this is going to be a $400 loss. Alright, moment of truth. Yeah! Luckily, it did not disappoint me, and the modules from the previous headlight seem to be working just fine. Alright, quick update. So it turns out that I forgot to buy a front grille for the bumper, because once we put the whole bumper on, we can't put the front grille after that because we'll just have to disassemble the whole bumper again. Right now I just borrowed my friend's Audi because my girlfriend's BMW just literally died. It's minus 13 outside and it wouldn't start even though we tried charging the battery. At first there were a couple of cranks, but after that it just wouldn't crank anymore, so I just gave up and called my friend. Right now I'm on my way to pick up the final piece. Hopefully we can get done with it because geez oh geez, it's taking longer than I initially expected. So I bought the very last part, which finally allowed us to mount the new bumper and finally reached the long-awaited finish line. Actually, not so fast. We still had to check one more thing. The scary check engine light. But luckily the repair shop with the OBD scanner was just around the corner. Like literally, this is us and that's them. We're like 20 meters apart. So once I got there, we plugged in the OBD scanner, cleared all the old fault codes, and ran a full scan on the car. And somehow, for my wallet's sake, it came back clean. This was most likely just like the mechanic diagnosed. Recent radiator work, maybe an unplugged sensor, or an air pocket that worked its way out. And voila, no more errors on the dash. It has been a very long 1 month and 2 weeks. You can't imagine how excited I am to finally have it on the road. Well, almost have it on the road. We still have to balance the wheels because currently they're facing like slightly in different directions. They're slightly imbalanced after the initial repair. Just some sort of a misalignment thing. I'm not sure what's the correct term for it. And after that, we are finally going to list it for sale. So now I'm gonna take it for a quick wash and show you the grand reveal. Or at least that's what I thought I was going to do. I just drove like a mile away from the paint shop and turns out we might have an issue. The car just started going sideways when I'm driving and I got these faults on the screen. All of a sudden it says chassis stabilization malfunction, flat tire inactive, and to keep the wheel straight I just have to keep the wheel more to the left. Oh my god. Oh god, indeed. This is not how I pictured my first test drive. I knew the underlying issue was probably the wheels being unbalanced, but I did not expect it to be this bad. So I had no choice but to drive it back to the same repair shop. Alright, quick update. They told me they can't really accept me right now because they're full up until next week. And I'm just... oh my god, this is so f***ing annoying. Well, I guess this is just the harsh reality of buying a crash-damaged car with zero technical experience. So I called the original repair shop we took it to and asked them to take care of this final roadblock. Know what they say happens. Okay guys, I'm on my way to pick up the car from the repair shop now. We got a very beautiful wintry weather today, but it's so cold. Today we're taking the local public transport because my car is actually somewhere around 10 miles from my home. By car it would take us like 20 minutes to drive there. By bus it's 1 hour. There she is. We're gonna give it a quick cold start, see how it works. All right, here goes nothing. All right, that was unexpected. Maybe it's just a little bit too cold outside. I don't know. Okay, second try. bit of a scare, to be honest. Negative $4,000 flashing in front of my eyes. Because I have basically zero technical knowledge about cars, I didn't realize the fact that the car hadn't been driven for almost 2 months. And because it was super cold outside, it shouldn't be a surprise that it was behaving like this. With the car fixed and fully drivable, the only thing left was to take it for a quick wash, take some good pictures, and finally list it for sale. But because it was minus 15 degrees outside, I had no choice but to take the BMW for an automatic car wash. And trust me, I hate this idea just as much as you do. I'd much rather hand wash it myself than pull up here and pray they don't scratch the freshly painted panels. After that, I vacuumed the entire interior, made sure to get into as many of the hard to reach spots as possible, wiped down all of the dust throughout the cabin, using this delicious smelling interior spray I bought when I got my first car. I'll leave a link in the description. Alright guys, are you ready for the grand reveal? Here it is. So with the car finally clean, it was time to take some pictures. This is one of the most crucial moments before listing the car for sale, so you gotta make sure they're good. And after just 20 minutes, the pictures turned out really good, which is kind of impressive considering I took them all on my 5-year-old iPhone 12. Then I got back home, wrote up a quick description, pointing out all of the important details about the car. On average, these sell for around 13,000 euros, but I decided to list it for 12k, just to make it a bit more tempting and hopefully catch someone's eye faster. And now, all that's left to do is wait for the offers to roll in. And the offers started rolling in like crazy. Turns out a lot of people in my country really like this BMW. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the messages because most of them weren't that serious. Like this one guy who messaged me on Messenger and just wrote 6,900. I was like, okay. Then there were a few people trying to lowball me really hard, offering 8 to 9,000 euros for the X, but I just ignored those. But the person closest to actually buying the car was a woman who used to work at a repair shop where they specifically serviced BMWs. But the funny thing is, once she found out that the car was from the US, because she asked me to send the VIN number, she said she was only looking for a European version and basically wished me good luck. I'm still not entirely sure what that was supposed to mean, considering I already bought it fully converted to European standards. But yeah. Anyways, so after a couple of days and several lowball phone calls later, a serious buyer finally showed up. We agreed to meet up the next day, and over the phone he sounded genuinely interested in the car. I'd say I was about 90% confident that he was actually going to buy it, but considering that I already went through a storm of messages with no luck so far, I guess we'll just have to find out tomorrow. Pretty cool, right? It's so awesome that I can do this to my room. And this. And this. So awesome. So I just got back home and it took the guy like 10 minutes to check the entire car. I also asked my girlfriend this time to film from the side just in case anything funny happens like last time. But surprisingly, the guy was so down to earth that nothing out of the ordinary even happened. I was also trying to be as transparent as possible. I told him that the car was crash damaged and that I bought it and fixed it. But when I told him that, he said if I hadn't mentioned it, he would have never known that it was actually crash damaged. But just in case, we agreed to take it to a repair shop of his choice, just so he could know that the car was actually mechanically fine. So we took the car the next day. The car came back fine, and we shook our hands on 11,500. Finally, after 2 months, it's time for the second price breakdown. So we bought the car for 5,200. Because it wasn't drivable at first, I had to tow it twice, so that cost me 200 euros. Now the initial repairs we did was for the suspension, steering, control arms, radiator work and balancing, so that added up to 820 for the initial repairs. The parts I bought plus the new tires came into a total of 1,530 for the parts, bringing us to a total amount spent 9,050 euros. We sold the car for 11,500. That's giving us 2,450 euros and minus taxes, giving us a grand total of 2,082 euros profit. And just like that, now we're at over 2,700 euros in profit going towards my dream car. Anyways, the grind doesn't stop. I'm already searching for my third potential flip as we speak, and hopefully this one won't take nearly as long as this one did. So if you guys enjoyed this series, make sure to subscribe because we still have a long road ahead of us. Follow me on Instagram, I might as well post some updates there. But for now, I'll see you in the next one.